As of this March, the Switch is turning 8 years old, which is crazy to think about. And in that time, the Switch has had varying levels of third-party support. Some years we get a lot, some other years we don't get very much. And I feel like this last year of the Switch, we've seen some crazy third-party releases, and then just a cavalcade of just utter disappointment. Just a whack ton of cloud releases, a bunch of horribly performing releases. But there's been some stellar outliers. Stuff like Hogwarts Legacy actually ended up being pretty good on the Switch. Stuff like Borderlands 3 also ended up being a fun version and a very well-running version. Might not be very pretty. Either of those games are actually fairly ugly. But even those games had a hard time running initially on even the Xbox and PlayStation, and even on PC. Some of those games had a very hard time running, at least initially. So it's crazy seeing how well it runs on the Switch at launch, and there's still development ongoing for each of those ports. But there are some games that probably won't make the transition at any point. And there are some games that will have to wait for new hardware. Games like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time, and with the recent announcement of future DLC coming to the game, I am more excited than I've ever been before. Elden Ring would have a fairly decent time on the Switch, in my opinion. I love playing Elden Ring on my Steam Deck. While I don't think Elden Ring in its current state could run on a Switch, and I don't think the Switch could handle Elden Ring, the Switch 2, on the other hand, could potentially house Elden Ring quite nicely, and maybe in some sort of like complete or definitive edition where it includes the DLC. So that's something that I'd be super interested to buy, even if it's like $70 or $80 on that platform. I mean, Dark Souls is already on the Switch, so there's clearly a fan base for, FromSoft to sort of tap into on the Switch. And I even bought it on both the Switch, my Xbox, and my PC, because at the time I was sort of beginning to transition over, and they would just happen to coincide with a couple Steam sales, and I was able to pick up basically a bunch of copies of Dark Souls Remastered. And so there is a fan base and a market that they could sort of get people to buy this game. So hopefully when the Switch 2 comes out, that Bandai Namco and FromSoft might consider developing a port for that new Switch. The next game that I hope comes to the Switch or Switch 2, Palworld. This one is kind of insane and so unlikely, and I feel like it's the least likely game on this list, just because of how weird Nintendo has been with maybe or maybe not filing a lawsuit against them. But it's just such a fun game, and I've really enjoyed playing it on my Steam Deck and other mobile handheld gaming devices that I can play it on, that I don't see any reason why this game couldn't potentially run on the current Switch and have no reason to run on the next Switch. But it's all about the optics of letting that game on the Switch and whether or not Nintendo is okay with that happening. Nintendo has been very cagey about how they feel about this game. They've said on multiple reports and leaks and stuff that they are aware of the game existence and are looking into it, or potentially any legal, things that they might have to do. And I would agree, there are some Pokemon designs that the people at Pocket Play, I think is what the company's called that made this game, just blatantly ripped off. Even some of the cut Pokemon, I even called them Pokemon, some of the cut pals that weren't in the game look basically like color swapped fucking Pokemon. So it's not a particularly great look if you let some company who's made a blatant ripoff of your game onto your platform. But hopefully Nintendo and Pocket Pair can come together and sort of hash it out. I really want these two companies to sort of not try to kill each other. So this game is so much fun, and it's such a breath of fresh air in terms of this sort of pseudo Pokemon gaming scene, because Pokemon has been in such a state for a while now, and saying Palworld is like Pokemon, but it does definitely take a heavy amount of inspiration. So, and it's still like a survival type game. So it's not the direction I want Pokemon to go in, but it's just a new take on a familiar sort of format that we've been playing for so many years. And I want Pokemon to sort of take that in and realize that they need to start adapting to the times. So if there's a future where the two companies are okay with each of them being existing, I would love to see Palworld come to either the Switch or the Switch 2. The next game I want to come to the Switch or Switch 2 is Destiny 2. I've talked about this before so many times, but the Switch is lacking in first-person shooters, and I'm a big fan of first-person shooters. A good way to get me to play my Switch more often is to have a perpetually online and constantly evolving sort of live service game just for me to hop on, grind a few strikes, and then come out. And that's what Destiny 2 is. Destiny 2 is a game that I've been playing since launch. I've been playing since the original Destiny back in 2014, and it's too late for me to get off this train, and I'm riding it all the way straight to hell where this game belongs. And I just would love to have an official way to play this game portably, because it takes a lot of effort to get the game to run on Steam Deck, especially because you got to run Windows, and playing on the other devices is fine because it's Windows, but I want a native home console version that is portable for Destiny 2. And the Switch is the only option out there. And I just want this. I love this game. It's weird to say that I love this game because it's awful to me constantly. But I just play this game so much, and I would prefer an official way to play this game portably. And Bungie won't ever do it. I don't think they will, but this is just my fucking hopes and dreams being poured out there. I play this game too much for me not to think about this even once. So it's like, can I please get a Destiny 2 on Switch? For Christ's sake, I've been praying every day before this. So you all know what Destiny 2 is probably. So that's it. I just really hope Destiny 2 eventually comes to some version of the Switch. It's one of my favorite games, and god damn it, I really do want it. On a less psychotic note, GTA 5 is a game that could potentially run on the Switch because the original GTA 5 came out on the Xbox 360. So I have no reason to doubt that it could potentially run on the Switch, especially if you consider sort of activating something like FSR or something, which has been done before on the Switch. So seeing this being the case that maybe could potentially run on the Switch, maybe people were like, oh, but Nintendo doesn't want sort of that violent of a video game or that kind of content on the Switch. But the Switch already has 3 GTA games on it. It has the GTA trilogy, which contains some of the best GTA games of all time. So I don't see any reason why GTA 5 doesn't come to the Switch. Rockstar already has a bunch of games on the Switch. Even Red Dead Redemption's on the Switch, for Christ's sake. But why not Grand Theft Auto 5? The game has been doing remarkably well for over 10 years now. So why it hasn't made it over the Switch, I don't know. But hopefully at some point, either GTA 5 or GTA 6 comes into the Switch 2 or the Switch original. So maybe there's a future where that is a potential that we might see. But as it stands now, I don't hear or see any rumors talking about this, but I think the game would run well on Switch and be super fun to have portably. The last game is technically already on Switch, but it's on Switch as a cloud version. And I can't stand cloud versions because I don't have the best of internet all the time. Sometimes it's weirdly shitty, or sometimes it's just middling. So game streaming isn't something that I necessarily can do efficiently or enjoyably. So having them exclusively as cloud versions makes it super sad. Kingdom Hearts is exclusively on cloud streaming for the fucking Switch, except one game, Melody of Memories, which is like Kingdom Hearts' rhythm game. It's sort of important to the franchise. I don't know. I didn't like it that much. But being able to play Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, and all those awesome games in their franchise portably would be fantastic. Unfortunately, Square Enix said, you know what? These games that have been running on anything less than a fucking PS2 for the last fucking 10 years, oh, we don't need to put them on the Switch officially. We just need to put them on cloud streaming because they're too powerful. It's not powerful enough to run these games. And so it's ridiculous that these games that have been around since before I was born are unable to run on the Switch. It's ridiculous. You don't necessarily even have to port the HD remix, ultra high quality versions. Port the one from the PS3. Port the original one from the PS2. It can't be that hard. Like, I don't know anything about game development, and it could be exceptionally hard. But it can't be any harder than setting up a cloud streaming version. Like, they've ported these things literally everywhere. You can buy them on Steam Deck. You can buy them on your PlayStation. You can buy them on Xbox. You can buy it on PC. You can buy it literally everywhere. But for some reason, on the Switch, you only get cloud versions. It is actually ridiculous. So, the game that I want the most is Kingdom Hearts, because it just blows my mind that Square Enix was thinking like, oh, these games can't run on the Switch, let's make them cloud versions. It's baffling. It's truly baffling. I get to an extent Kingdom Hearts 3 being cloud streaming, because it is a higher, it's the newest version of the game. It is the most demanding game out of the lineup. So for that one, I kind of get it. I can justify that in my mind. But you can't tell me that the Switch can't handle Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 1. Those games are literally almost 20 years old now. What the hell? It doesn't make any sense to me. So what are your thoughts? I know this is kind of an abrupt ending to this video, but what games do you want to see come to Switch? This is just a small sample of the games that I hope come to Switch. I would love to hear what you guys want. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the other social media garbage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.